Every passing car made him leap back into the shadows of the trees on the abandoned rural highway. His form was hardly more than a shadow, sweating even in the chilling cold, his face bruised and scarred. With every step, he knew they were gaining on him. He darted through the mist and onto a deserted side street, lined with thick walls of rock on both sides. His eyes swept the road. He was worn out from a night of running, but he couldn't stop. He had to get to the city before they found him, or worse, before they found Bran. Suddenly there was a burst of light behind him, coming over the hill. He spun and his eyes flashed, the noise startling him for a second. An engine roared and he saw the familiar shape of a black van. "No," he gasped. He took off in the other direction as the van blasted in pursuit. His shadow was thrown before him, the headlights burning the sweat on his neck. The road cut through the rocks, the rising walls preventing him from going into the woods. He ran faster, panting for breath, his heart pounding in rhythm with his feet slapping against the pavement. Ahead there was a flash of motion, a squeal of tires, and a second black van shot out of the shadows. He shouted and turned to run the other way, but the first van tore after him, blocking his escape as the other cornered him in. Clarence ran to the wall of rock, desperately digging his fingers into the cracks to climb it, but fall into the pavement when he found he could not. The vans purred to a stop, standing still and foreboding. The intense headlights trained on his form against the wall, blinding his eyes as he crouched over. He held up his hands to shield his face and heard the doors burst open, two men coming from behind the cover of the windows, their pistols trained on him. He stiffened. Out of the second van came two other men, bold and strong, their faces emotionless and their forms hidden by black coats that swept as far as the ground. Each held in his hand a wand of black metal. Clarence trembled under their gazes, almost feeling the torturous magic coursing through his body again. The side door of the first van opened slowly. Clarence whimpered, pressing himself against the rocks. All was quiet as the last man came from the darkness, standing in front of the others. Clarence looked up at him weakly. The man's face was rough, his hair light into his shoulders, power behind his gaze. His clothes were torn and bloody, as were those of the others. Clarence counted them in the light. There were only 5. The police must have caught the rest. Running away so soon, are we?" the man said in a soft tone that held poison. Clarence covered his eyes. "Wouldn't stick around to help clean up, would you?" the man said louder. "Already tired of the project just because the police break in?" "Farfield is over," Clarence managed to hiss, hardly able to breathe. He looked up. "You've already failed, Joris. The police are onto all of you. Basil is dead. His spirit is gone. And Emry will hide her son well enough so you'll never bring him back." "But you know where she's taking him," Joris said. Clarence pulled his head away, refusing to speak. Very slowly, Joris stepped into one of the headlight beams, casting a shadow down upon Clarence. "You know where he is, don't you?" Joris stated. Clarence shook his head. No, he wouldn't tell. He would not betray Emry. I don't know where she's taking him," he stammered, fighting back terror. Joris narrowed his eyes disbelievingly. "Well then," he said, "we'll just have to convince you to tell us then, won't we?" "I won't," Clarence choked. "I can't break my promise. The boy is gone. Farfield is over." Joris gave a dry smile. He leaned down so close his whisper was loud in Clarence's ear. "Farfield isn't over yet," he hissed. "We're going to find Bran Hambric, and we're going to bring him back."